Hi everyone, welcome to this little video on how to register to vote in Oklahoma. I am Lauren Schuler, the Director of New Leadership and Civic Engagement at the Carl Albert Center at OU and the advisor to the student group Oklahoma Votes. So today we're going to walk you through how to fill out the form, some other options that you might have to register to vote with some different tools and services depending on if you are part of the OU community or just a general member of the public. So you've chosen to vote in Oklahoma. So before we get started, I think that it's important that you have a few things on hand for you to get started. So to fill out the form, you're either going to need your Social Security number, the last 4 digits, or your Oklahoma or state issued ID. The address in which you want to be registered. For OU students, that can include a campus residence hall address, and of course out-of-state students who would like to vote and register to vote in Oklahoma can do so with their Norman address. And then another thing is if you want to register in a different county or something other than where you're currently living, you can get the mailing address and have your ID card mailed to you where you're currently living. So just to kind of make everybody aware, the deadline to register ahead of the November 3rd election is October 9th. So we are just under a month left to get your registration up to date and current. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to check online to see if you are currently registered. The best way to do this and the easiest way is the OK Voter portal that is put out there by the election board, and you'll see that the link to that voter portal is at the bottom of the slide. And so that's also a really good one-stop shop for a lot of other things that we'll kind of talk about in subsequent videos, like getting your absentee ballot, requesting that, looking up your polling location, getting sample ballots, etc. Okay, so if you're already registered, but your home address or your name has changed, you can re-register or update your registration using one of the regular registration processes below. So if you aren't currently registered, and the OK Voter portal will let you know that by saying we can't find you. So either you have a couple of options. One, you can print and mail the form, and you can find that on the election board's website. They also have kind of a handy dandy tool to pre-populate that form so that you can type it out and then print it and then just sign it before you send it in. So members of the OU community, we actually have a really unique tool now called TurboVote. So if you go to ou.turbovote.org, you can go through the process. They will help you register to vote. And that can be for Oklahoma or out of state. But they also have this really cool option where you can have your registration form mailed directly to you so that then you can fill it out, or you can finish filling it out with your ID and your wet signature. And then they will also send you a pre-addressed and pre-stamped envelope to mail back to the election board. So kind of removing some of those barriers. If you aren't connected to the OU community in some way, there's also another tool called OK Vote, which does a very similar thing to TurboVote. They will mail you your pre-filled out form and a pre-addressed and pre-stamped envelope for you to send back to the election board. I will make one note too, that if you are registered and you just need to change your address because you've moved within the same county, or you would like to update your party affiliation, you can actually do that online. You don't have to do another paper form and kind of go through that process. And that can be conducted on the Oklahoma Voter portal. So we're gonna get into the application, and this is what the voter registration application currently looks like for Oklahoma. They've actually streamlined some of the things, so I'm actually really happy with the way that this works. So we're gonna just kind of delve into it, just make sure that you don't have any errors when you fill this out and when it gets to the election board, so that there's no problem processing your voter registration. So the first part is these kind of top level questions that are right at the top of the form, asking you about your citizenship and your age. Both of those will need to be yes. Yes, I am a citizen, and yes, I will be 18 years of age on election day to be able to register you to vote. Then check, make sure that those check boxes are checked. Then the next thing is you're going to kind of come to this big middle section where it's kind of giving the information about who you are and where you want to register to vote. So we're going to pop this bit out, and then I'm going to go through a couple of the sections. I think obviously name and birth date are pretty easy, and most people don't have any problem doing that. The next section is this number 3 identification number. So you'll see that it is required to have either A or B. So A, the Oklahoma driver's license number, or B, the last 4 of your social. So if you are a student at OU or another institution in the state, but you're from, Texas or Missouri or something like that, but you want to register here with your Oklahoma address and you don't have an Oklahoma driver's license, you can use the last 4 digits of your social security number, and that is perfectly reasonable. The next portion, political party, sometimes we'll get questions from students about, why do we have to select this? What does that look like? Well, in Oklahoma, we have closed primaries, so you have to register with the party that you would like to vote in their primary election. Now, I will say that the Democratic Party has allowed independents to request to vote in their primary. So if you do choose the no party, which means independent option, you will have the option to vote in the Democratic Party. As of now, the Libertarian and the Republican parties have chosen to only allow their primaries to be accessible by people that are registered for their party. So that's just some, information about why this question is on here. So the next section, this 5 street address or directions to your house is where you want to be registered to vote. And so this actually has to be a physical location. This cannot be a PO box, because this is what's determining your polling location, what districts you live in, and so subsequently what elections you will be eligible to vote in. So make sure that this is, like, if you are an OU student and you want to register in Norman, that this is your residence hall or your local address. The mailing address is only used if it's different. So say you're a student from Tulsa, you want to register in Tulsa, but you'd like your mailing address on file with the election board to be your Norman address because you want to get your voter ID card mailed to you there. That's when you would use the mailing address. And then I'm also going to note this little box right down here in the bottom corner. Says county. So make sure that that county matches what address you're using in box number 5. Some people will read this really quickly and think that it's country, but it's actually the county of residence, and that's how the election board is going to route it to your specific county election board. All right, so the next piece is this, this box number 6. Now, if you are a new registration, you will not fill out anything in this form because you have not been previously registered. If you are currently registered in a different county or a different state, go ahead and fill this portion out. And most likely, you're not going to need to fill out the very bottom box, which says someone has helped you with this application. That's only going to be necessary if you are incapacitated in any way and someone is actually filling out the form and writing in your information for you. And then finally, this last box, number 7, is just affirming that, again, you are a citizen, you are 18 years old, you haven't been convicted of a felony, and then all of this information is true and legal, and just letting you know that if it's not, then that is punishable by a fine. So the last thing that you're going to need to do is just physically sign. This can't be an e-signature or anything like that. It has to be with a pen, and then date the application. That's today's date. I'll also make a note that whenever you are filling out this form, make sure that you are doing it in blue or black ink. No pencil, no colored ink outside of just the regular blue and black. Those are the only things that are going to be acceptable to the election board. So finally, you have all of that filled out, just double check yourself, and then you will mail it to your county election board or the state election board, and they will route those for you. So finally, if you've registered to vote today, going kind of through this process, make sure that you check your registration again within 2 weeks. And you can do that through the OK Voter portal. So going there, and if your information shows up, you weren't registered before, it shows up, that means that you have registered. You should also receive your voter ID card in the mail. And if you don't, if that doesn't show up, because that's also indicating that you have registered, and it will be a card that has, your voter ID number, and it'll have your polling location and precincts and things like that. Go ahead and contact your county election board, and then they can reissue you another one. So that's it. Just kind of a quick and easy video on how to register to vote in Oklahoma. If you have any questions or need any help, this is all of our information with Oklahoma Votes. You can follow us on social media. We'll be kind of doing good informational stuff. For students, we host debate watch parties and things like that. But we hope everybody gets out there and registers to vote. Thanks.